sure. So I'm hoping that we can delve deep today, this evening, today where you're at, and move forward. But I want to start home, and simply because you're from the Chi Town, and where I am on my radar, I have many connections with Chi Town, but it's definitely at the forefront of the current climate of music.
Mm.
There's gangs and all. Anytime I hear of Chicago now, so I'm curious to know, is that where you're from, based, or your origins in the States?
That's where my parents gave birth to me in the Chicago, and it's a blessing to be here. That's actually my ninth book that I'm writing. I've been writing it for a while now, and it's esoteric Chicago or occult Chicago. I don't have the title, but there's so many things unknown. Like, for instance, who do they say in the history book started and founded Chicago? They say Jean Baptiste du Sable. Jean Baptiste du Sable started Chicago. And this is a melanated person from Haiti. Now, 90% of Haiti is said to practice voodoo. And so the founder of this city, Chicago, was a melanated person in the late 1700s who practiced voodoo. Now, I thought they told us that all Black people was slaves or, just, taken from Africa or whatever. But here you have a person who's can be considered a millionaire of his time, a successful businessman of his time, founding this city here. And he was in a relationship, married to a native from uh, from this landmass, from Turtle Island, and uh, she was probably a melanated, woolly-haired uh, person as well. Uh, if we get down to the gist of things. And so that's just one thing that we're going to have to touch on in the book. The other is all of the pyramids that have been removed in Chicago. I found so much evidence either through my own observation in the natural environment or archaeological records from the late 1800s, early 1900s, uh, detailing where these either pyramid mounds are, which they called pyramid mounds. They didn't call them just mounds. They said pyramidal mound. And one of them's on 79th Street Beach. And, that's the South Side. That's where I hella melanated people stay. So, and another one is near Belmont and Clark, which was a major power center for major years, still is today, but people can remember many years ago in Chicago at the Belmont and Clark, at the peak of this pyramid that's under the city, probably from some type of mud flood experience, is there was a power center there. A lot of weird people would just hang out there incessantly. But we're gonna build on all of this. There's so much to build on in that book because I've been breaking it down for years, either in my writings or my head, and I have a whole stack of research from archaeologists about Chicago over there. I could take us over there to get in those books and show you some of the artifacts. We're not gonna go that deep today, though.
On the re-up, when we re-up, we go there, man.
Yeah.
In synchronicity, man, because I posted today the first session that I'd done with, I'm not sure if you're familiar with KT, the Arch Degree.
I've heard the name,
Yeah, man.
but I don't know who that is.
All right, so yeah, he's a scholar in his own right. He's the son of Dr. Sabi, and
Oh, wow.
he was the one that plugged me into the whole mud flood and yeah, the whole phenomenon there, and yeah, that was I posted that, just a few hours ago, man, just a few hours ago, and
Yeah.
hopefully you can just share that and spread the spores and get people feeling and understanding what that's all about. But I'm also just interested the fact that you're a resident and born and bred in Chicago. Just what was life like coming up in Chicago, man? Just for yourself.
It was always dope to me. I've always liked it. It's probably less intriguing now for me, but as a shorty, uh I came at the time where hip hop was just starting, or taking roots more popularly, so I was able to get into that sort of early here. I remember breakdancing on a corner when I was 5, because I seen some people out there playing the drums, and I was like, "Mom, can I go breakdance?" She was like, "Okay." So I went and did it, and people started giving me money for breakdancing that day, and then I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I was all proud of myself. Uh, so I had them type of experiences. My schools were pretty good schools. They were public schools, yet uh, I was immersed in a good universal culture of people able to have a good experience. I was right there, right outside of Cabrini Green. They bust a lot of us in from different regions to this school, and it was right next to Cabrini Green. So we had that. I mean, when I say right next to it, at one time it was very much connected to it. That Cabrini Green is, if you ever seen Candyman, the movie, that's where a lot of that was going down at.
Right.
And so it's, the projects was right there, but it was a very wealthy neighborhood. So I was lucky to be able to be in that situation rather than some of the worst situations. But I still, got into my share of drama with people here and there.
Mm,
But the wonderful thing was the way I carried myself ever since I was little. I've been able to steer away from that without engaging. It's like Aikido, and the way, and also not even be seen, not even be attracted or attracting drama to me. But there was a lot of drama here. I would say the Bulls championships, the 6-peat, the 2 3-peats, are some of the things that brought the city up from where it used to be. This year, there was a lot of murders this year and shootings this year, from what I hear, but it's never been, from what I remember, like back in the late '80s and early '90s, when people were getting murdered much more uh, often. It seemed like, and for over nothing.
mm. So you mentioned, but so navigating that terrain of what Chicago was and is, to this day,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, um, and the path that you're currently on, um, where, yeah, how and where in your life did that, that direction to get into, consciousness and building in the way that you build. What were the catalysts, man? What was the fuel?
It's been since early, because uh, my parents was doing their thing. I chose to go to church on my own, like as a shorty, for my own purposes, and I extracted some wonderful things from there. But I got kicked out because of the ways I was thinking and the questions I was asking. I got kicked out of a church and of a Christian school, uh, and that was uh, that was all good for me, because those were just, they're just different stepping stones. And some of the reasons I got kicked out is because of what they weren't building with. I was asking about the seeds, like if the Bible say every seed is given to man, then isn't herbs fine? Isn't mushrooms ain't these okay? And they were trying to say no, and they couldn't tell me no reason. And then I was like, yo, why would God let anybody, if God is unconditional love, why is God gonna let anybody suffer and burn in eternal hell? Like asking questions like that. And they kept trying to push the fear-based thing. And so we had to part ways. And the more I looked, the more I could see this Christ energy, the same energy that led me to go seek at that church. I seen it in Buddha and Krishna. And then I would see the same way of relating that Christ taught in the Tao and in Zen and in Asar and in those mysteries, in Mithras, in all these different archetypes. And from seeing that, I was like, okay, the way I feel about it is there's one supreme that we all are. And every now and again, that same one supreme be popping up in order to the same one supreme pop up without any obscurations in front of its thought process and heart process. And when it does, it's able to re-spark people who notice that in them. They're able to re-spark it in others, that same awareness, like an avatar. And they're also able to help remove people from the earth who's on that bull, like Mussolini and Hitler during Haile Selassie's time, or Ravana during Rama's time, or Kamsa during Krishna's time, or Set during Asar's time. And so these stories where there's another king or another tyrannical ruling system that has to be addressed. It says in the Bhagavad Gita, wherever and whenever people descend into debauchery and fuckery, and they forget about me, there and then I'm gonna come to show myself, to reveal myself to my devotees, and to remove the miscreants from the relation. And so then that's what I started seeing. I started seeing that Christ. And then I started asking, will I ever see you for real? Like in the flesh? Will I ever be able to meet you? And then the voice said, the only way you could do that is if you become me, if you be that Christ. And then I said, well, does that mean if I be it, then I'm gonna see you somewhere out there and be able to kick it with you like another person? Or does that mean if I'm gonna see it as me because I am it? And that nigga was like, both. And I was like, all right, cool.
Nice, nice. And that it just resonates, man, because you're taking me back to, how I came in and stepped into consciousness, through organization was by way of Nation of Islam, and that was by way of Public Enemy, Ice Cube, me listening to the music. And then that was how I, really started understanding, Chicago and, the movement of Nation of Islam. So I'll be doing a disservice to myself and the community without giving them credit where credit is due, man. And what was the presence like? What was, what coming up? Was they present? What was their relationship in your life, if any?
It wasn't super strong for me, but I've always honored and built with the Nation of Islam brothers and sisters. I've never gone to Mosque Mariam for any service, but I went to high school in Hyde Park at Kenwood, which is basically the closest high school to Farrakhan's house. So we would be outside his house, like every other day, smoking weed or whatever, doing our thing. We walk past just blazing. My relationship, as far as the impact went, though, there was always a sector in different circles of the community who were very devoted and sincere about nation building, either through either Nation of Islam folks or the Nation of Gods and Earths or the Moors, the Hebrew Israelites, all of that's here. And all of that was, Chicago was foundational for all of those movements as well in the early 1900s. And so to this day, there's still a strong element of that here. But the movement as far as being moving towards anything in unison, I hadn't, and still am looking to tap into that together.
I feel you, man.